Okay, this video is about the best Irish music. I like having a list of all the best music from different genres. So like if I want to listen to songs, I just click on the video and I can see the slide and I can go to the songs very quickly. It helps me to remember them. I'm going to show a little bit of family history here for the best Irish music. This is my great grandfather. He is national champion of bicycle riding and racing in Ireland, and that was one of my great uncles. And back in those days, they lived back in the days when Ireland was especially brutally treated by the British. He was shot by the British. He was shot by the British. They both survived. He even fled the country to America for a while. I'll show you something about that. Here's another picture of him, the leg muscles there. He's national champion bicycle rider, my grandfather, a great athlete. Um, and there's his wedding picture to a nurse. The nurse had actually sheltered him and nursed him when he was sick and took care of him for a long time, and he got his health back after he had been shot. And here they are, old folks, happy together and had a great life. Here's my father. He's a physician from Ireland. He grew up on a house with a dirt floor. Had to be a valedictorian of his high school in order to get to go to college. Otherwise, he was too poor. And all the boys that didn't get that scholarship, they're probably going to work in the beer factory. Here is my other uncle, and he became a physicist. Bright guy. My grandfather, he really, was not too scholarly a guy, but his wife, the nurse Bridie, was a big reader, scholar. And he's another one of my uncles who became a doctor, kind of a grouchy guy, but they would come over and they would argue about books. He ended up eating a lot of meat and whole milk, and he actually died of a myocardial infarction at 51, which is too bad. But anyways, they loved talking about books, and that inspired me when I was young to that's what a man does. He reads books and he argues about books. And so even though they were, off the boat foreigners and didn't know anything about the American educational system, that habit ended up being very good for me, gave me a big advantage academically. So like when I went to Stanford, even though I never took an AP class before, I didn't even know what one was. I never even took honors classes. I was more in the habit of reading books and arguing about them than these other guys. This is one of my cousins, was national champion in bicycling, and he is also on the United States Olympic team. Okay, so now here's the songs. We'll get to the songs. I grew up in a house listening to my father's Irish music, John Mccormack. John McCormack's one of the greatest opera singers that ever lived, and there's something about John McCormack. It's just pleasant. You can play it in the background. You can listen to it intently. It's just enjoyable and it's smooth. It's nice. I put in extra bold print some of his best songs. Nearer My God to Thee, Jesu Man of Joy is Desiring, Jesu Christu Son of God, The Wearing of the Green. All of these songs are good. They're all pleasant. The Minstrel Boy, The Star of the County Down. You show this to any old Irish person, they'll love this stuff. I just used to love hearing this when I was a kid too. I didn't just like it now. I loved it when I was a kid. Mother McCree, Down by the Sally Gardens from William Butler Yeats, Danny Boy. He's got a really nice Ave Maria, Avenging and Bright, Oft in the Stilly Night, Maggie, Rosa Tralee, When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, My Wild Irish Rose, Beautiful Isle of Somewhere, God Keep You Is My Prayer, The Minstrel Boy, To the War Is Gone, Ireland My Sireland, Garden Where the Praties Grow. I just loved all that stuff. I had all those albums. I just listened to them all the time. Especially like when I'm working around the house or something. That'd be real pleasant to listen to. Dubliners with Luke Kelly. Luke Kelly's kind of like a prototype Irishman. He's a tough guy, outspoken, redhead, a little bit of a hothead. Paddy Riley was another singer with the Dubliners. A lot of good songs. I listed them all here. Nation Once Again, Oro Se Do Beatha Bailey. I never learned Gaelic. I wish my father had me learn it when I was young. You got to learn a language right when you're young. It's the easiest time by far. Rocky Road to Dublin, The Boy from Culzean, I like that song. Wild Rover, Night Visiting Song, Beluga. So all this stuff is good. A lot of Irish music's very sad, of course. It's about their difficulties with the British. The British were awfully brutal to the Irish, terrible to the Irish. I know all the old stories from the old guys. They told me the Irishman wasn't allowed to own a horse. My father's actually real name was McCrory, which means son of a red-haired king. And they said, "Oh, screw you! You're not the son of a king. You're going to be Rogers." And that's like from the French rouge for red face makeup. It means you're the red ones. You're not the son of a red-haired king. Go screw yourself. That was kind of how the British treated the Irish. They treated them worse than they did their other colonies. Um, Chieftains are great traditional Irish music with Van Morrison. They got some real nice songs. Raglan Road, Star of the County Down. Good marching songs. Brian Boru's March, O'Sullivan's March. Clancy Brothers are good too. Rising in the Mood is a traditional Irish song. Wild Colonial Boy. The Wolf Tones are just awesome, fantastic band. Broad Black Bimmer is really good. Wearing of the Green is a fantastic song. You see the Irish have a harp on a flag, and the reason is the Irish musicians are like historians of Ireland. In addition, Queen Elizabeth of England had said she wanted to hang all the Irish musicians, so she would kill them. All right, so that's partly why that harp is a real symbol of their freedom and their history. Why you'll see it on the Irish flag, you'll see it on the Irish sporting teams. Let's see, all that stuff is great. Padraig Pearse, John Connolly, and these other heroes from the Easter 1916. It's all here. Liam Clancy got a nice voice. Of course, I like the Clancy brothers too. Irish Rovers, kind of fun folks music of Irish stuff. Van Morrison, Irish descent guy, and Crazy Love, Moondance. He's got a lot of great songs. The Thin Lizzy had a fantastic song with Phil Lynott, Whiskey in a Jar is their best song. It's awesome. Karen Casey, she's got a beautiful voice. My favorite song of hers is Sweet Comara. Sinead O'Connor has a great version of Foggy Dew. Everybody knows her for Nothing Compares to You. James Galway, the flutist, great stuff. Danny Boy, Greensleeves. Enya's real pleasant to listen to in the background. Orinoco Flow, Only Time, May It Be, and whatnot. Judy Collins, Amazing Grace. She's of Irish descent. Of course, everybody's heard of Michael Collins. Like I said, my father was so poor growing up. Sometimes they worried about having any food on the table. When he was in America, I went with him to the first time when they opened up the big Cubs Food grocery stores, just these massive warehouse of food. He started crying. It was so, he went from a child that was almost starving to death, and then he sees Cub Foods with just endless warehouse full of food. That was the idea of America in the old days for the Irish. It was an escape from the British. He came here because there weren't any jobs in Ireland. After he did his physician training. Moving Hearts, No Time for Love. These are traditional songs. Molly Malone's a traditional song. I used to hear that song when I was a kid. These are just some Irish instrumentals. Monaghan Twig, Rakes of Kildare. That's the band that plays a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of Irish singers. Every Irish singer takes a try at Danny Boy. There's a lot of famous versions. There's a sad song too. He's going off to, let's say, fight with the British. He knows he's probably not going to live, and he says, "When you see my grave, say an Ave for me." Phil Coulter's a composer, piano player. These are some other songs. Michael Flatley did all the flat dance, Lord of the Dance stuff, Victory Dance, if you like that sort of thing. U2 is a famous group from Ireland. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. It's sort of my favorite song of theirs. They got a lot of popular songs. These last two songs, Loch Lomond, that's an awesome song, and the whole story behind it is fantastic too. So Scotland had a lot in common with Ireland in the sense of they're both heavily oppressed by the British. Amazing Grace, the Scottish bagpipe version, is very good as well. People underestimate how bad the British were. There's kind of an attitude, well, all those terrible things only happened in commie Russia or Nazi Germany or China, and those are just, backward ass places. No, England did very similar things. They intentionally starved the British in the potato famine. In the Boer War in Africa, they literally starved 27,000 women and children to death. So the point I'm saying is be aware of that. When somebody has absolute power, they can behave terrible. I don't care who they are. So that's why there should always be checks and balances. Anyways, it's Irish music. It's very beautiful. I've always loved it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it.